What's up, fans? I don't want to blow my own trumpet. I don't even want to call myself Mystic Ade, but I did do a video about James Degale last week, and I did, on that video, talk about the potential of him giving up the IBF belt. And look what's happened today. James Degale has relinquished the belt that he won back from Caleb Truex a few months ago. Now, some people might say, what was the point in having that Caleb Truex fight then if he's going to eventually, so some people have called it, throw the belt in the bin? Well, I don't think the Caleb Truex performance was about winning the belt back. I think it was about exercising some demons. It was a payday, let's be honest. I mean, these fighters only get paid if they fight. I mean, James Degale don't have any massive sponsors that are going to pay him millions of dollars to sit in bed. And I think it was a case of he really fought, and I think he needed to prove to himself that he can beat Caleb Truex. I think it was a big thing. So I don't think the belt was the reasons he took that fight. The prize just happened to be the IBF belt. James Degale, I said, was in a precarious situation. That I think he's only at best got 2 to 3 fights left at the top level, earning good money. And none of those fights equaled fighting mandatories kind of put in front of him by the IBF. That wasn't going to happen. But you do kind of wonder how attractive a proposition of fighting James Degale is now without a belt. James Degale with a belt wasn't a draw, and it didn't equal a massive fight in terms of a payday for either him or the opponent. James Degale without a belt, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what ideas and plans he has. I mean, obviously he's still advised by Al Heyman. He doesn't have a promoter, so he's kind of freelance. So he wouldn't have been, I don't know if he's been speaking to any promoter in terms of ideas. We know that he did talk to Eddie Hearn a couple of weeks back. I think he spoke to Eddie Hearn, so maybe they've got some ideas. But James Degale without a belt, is that an attractive proposition for George Groves? I'm not sure. Is it a pay-per-view fight? Is that a pay-per-view fight? George Groves, James Degale without a belt. I mean, with a belt, it's a unification fight. Without a belt, it's just kind of old wounds, right? It's a fight that happened. When did it happen? 8, 9 years ago. I don't know if there's any tension there. I'm trying to think, what's at 175 for him? Is there anything at 175 attractive? Anything that isn't super dangerous? Not really. 175 is horribly stacked. Some good fighters up there, big fighters as well. So again, not sure about that. There is talk about the Billy Joe Saunders fight at catch weight. Don't know. Again, I mean, you just look and you think, okay, James Degale, you're going to look and you think, all right, what are my 2 or 3 fight options now that make me money? What are the options? Why have I relinquished this IBF belt? What path am I looking at? And again, for me, there's only 3. And I've said this before in other videos, but there's 3. There's Chris Eubank Jr., there's George Groves, and there's the Billy Joe Saunders fight. Billy Joe Saunders, I wouldn't risk going down in weight. At that age, I wouldn't risk trying to cut the extra 4 or 5 pounds to make that a catch weight. George Groves, after maybe George Groves beats Kevin Smith, which I think George Groves does, it's a big fight. It's probably an O2 Arena fight. It probably will get on ITV box office. It's a tough fight for George. I mean, tough fight. Yeah, it's a tough fight for George. It's a tough fight for James as well. Chris Eubank's the one for me. Chris Eubank's the one because Chris Eubank's a middleweight, really, isn't he? He's a middleweight. He doesn't have much strength. I know it looks like he's got a lot of pop, but I don't think he really has much power, especially not a super middleweight. I don't think he had it at middleweight, so I don't think he has it at super middleweight. And there's a lot of tension there between those two. So much tension that it will build into a pay-per-view event, and it will build into, I think, a relatively successful pay-per-view event as well. It's a fight that makes sense. It's a risky one for James because if he loses, that's his career over. But if he wins, it's a win against a decent name. And I mean a decent name, not maybe in terms of skill set, but a decent name in terms of a name that the casual fans know. And you can build on that name to then maybe fight George Groves. So those would be my, if I'm looking at a plan for him, my plan would be fight Chris Eubank, win that. I don't know, it'll probably be for an IBO title or something. Win that and then fight George Groves. That's the risk. It's a risky one, but I think that's the path that makes you money because they're both pay-per-view events. And it's a path where I can see success there. Anything else in terms of the other 168 champions, Billy Joe Saunders, 175, it's just doom. All I see is doom. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Peace.